Hi everybody, we are working on decimals in expanded form. So we're going to do it in two ways. We're going to do it in fractions and then in decimal, but it's in expanded form. And one of the first things you need to remember when you're doing this is place value. So I have 32 and 46 hundredths. And whenever you say it, that's really going to help you out. So the first thing we're going to do for our fraction form is take our 32 and then stretch that number out. So I'm going to take my digit 3 and I'm going to multiply it by its place value, which is in the tens place value. And then I'm going to add it to my next digit of 2, and it's in the ones place value. So far we haven't done anything that's really complicated. Each time I'm going to be adding these together. So sometimes I just like to circle that or just remind my students that we're adding every time. So the next digit I'm going to add is my 4, and it's in the tenths place value, and we're doing fractions, so I'm going to multiply that by 1/10. So I'm just taking my digit 4 and I'm multiplying it by the place value that it's in, which is the 1/10 place value. And then I'm going to add it to my 6, which is in the 1/100th place value. And then sometimes, just to make sure that my students understand our place value, and so I like to remind my students that each of our place values are tens, ones, 1/10, and 1/100th. I just like to highlight them out so I can point out each one of these digits is being multiplied by its place value. So then I'm going to do the same thing with decimal form. I'm going to take my 3 and I'm going to multiply it by its place value, which is 10. I'm going to add the 2 times 1. It's in the ones place value. So nothing changes for my whole number. It's going to start changing when I get into the decimals. My 4 digit stays the same, but it's in the tenths place value, so I'm going to multiply that by 1/10. So I'm going to use the place value, but in decimal form. And I'm going to add that to 6 times 1/100th. And so I'm going to highlight those again just so my students can see the place value that it's being multiplied by. So each digit is being multiplied by its place value. So we're going to do that again for 9 and 105 thousandths. So I'm going to take my 9 and I'm going to multiply it by its place value, which is 1 whole. And I'm going to add my 1, which is in the tenths place value. So I'm going to multiply that by 1/10. And then I don't have anything in my hundredths place, so I don't need to worry about that. So then the next digit we're going to be adding is our 5. So we're going to take our 5 and we're going to multiply it by its place value, which is in the thousandths place value. So then we're finished. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight each of our place values. Now we're going to do it in decimal form. Remember, our whole number stays the same. So 9 times 1, we already know that. That is 9. Now we're going to start over here with our decimal part. So I'm going to take my 1, I'm multiplying it by its place value, which is 1/10. I don't have anything for the hundredths, so I'm going to leave that alone. Then I'm going to do my last digit, which is 5, and I'm going to multiply it by its place value, which is 1/1000. Okay, now the last problem I think is actually really fun. It's kind of like a guessing game. So I'm going to take a look first at this part over here. And I'm going to see what my whole number is. So I have, these are my whole numbers over here. So I've got 4 times 10, which I know is 40. And then I have 5 times 1, which is 5. So that right there is going to be 45. And then this over here is going to be my decimal part of my answer. So 2 times 1/10 tells me that's going to be 2/10. And then 9 times 1/100th tells me the 9 is going to be in the hundredths spot. So then I'm going to come down here. I have 1 times 1. Well, that's my whole number. 1 times 1 is 1 decimal point. So all of this over here is the decimal part of my answer. So I have 6, and this tells me the 6 is going to go right there in the hundredths spot. So that means I don't have anything in my tens place. So I've got to put a 0 as a placeholder. So a 6 is going to go right here in my hundredths spot. And then the 8 is going to come over here and go right there in the thousandths place value. So this number is 1 and 68 thousandths.